In the heart of ancient Rome, few gods held as much power, respect, and reverence as Mars, the god of war. Known for his immense strength and military prowess, Mars embodied the aggressive spirit of battle that defined the Roman way of life. But while the warriors of Rome invoked him on the field of combat, the nature of Mars was far more complex, shaped by both his formidable strengths and his impulsive weaknesses. Mars' birth is foretold by the gods, and he emerges as the son of Jupiter, the king of the gods, and Juno, the queen. From the moment he is born, his fiery temperament is evident. While the other gods may have represented wisdom or restraint, Mars is imbued with an unstoppable force. His very being seems to radiate heat and anger. The other gods look on with a mixture of awe and caution, for they know that Mars will be a god of action, a warrior whose strength and fury will shape the future of the world. Mars' power was not simply a matter of martial skill or the capacity to lead armies to victory. The very blood of Rome seemed to flow through his veins, for Mars was not only the god of war but also the protector of the Roman people and their agricultural prosperity. As much a guardian of the fields and crops as of warriors, Mars was integral to the cycles of life, and his influence extended from the battles that defined Roman expansion to the very soil from which the empire grew. The figure of Mars, like the red hue of iron oxide, evoked the violent, relentless force of war. His fiery nature was symbolized not only in his association with the planet Mars, but also by his role as the patron of the military. He was a god whose power was as much about destruction as it was about preservation. After all, war, in its most basic form, both ravaged and rebuilt. The element of fire, with its unstoppable force, was a fitting symbol for the god of war. Fire consumes, burns, and creates, just as Mars did with the lives of soldiers and the futures of empires. Mars was a figure marked by a hot temper, quick to anger, and even quicker to strike. His rage was legendary, often erupting in uncontrollable bursts of violence that could sometimes spell disaster. In Roman mythology, Mars' impulsiveness was seen as both his greatest strength and his greatest flaw. It was this very anger, this raw energy, that made Mars an effective and feared warrior. The Romans, after all, were no strangers to fierce combat, and Mars's personality reflected the very nature of warfare: chaotic, unpredictable, and demanding relentless resolve. But as with all things born of fire, Mars' impulsiveness often led to unintended consequences. His lack of strategic foresight sometimes made him vulnerable to manipulation. Enemies who understood the nature of his anger could lure him into traps or manipulate him into fighting battles that were not to his advantage. In his rage, Mars would often lose sight of the bigger picture, charging into fights with the fervor of a bull but without the wisdom of a general. In battle, Mars inspired courage in his followers. He was not a god who worked in subtlety or strategy like Minerva, the goddess of wisdom, but rather one who embodied the fiery, brutal side of warfare. When Mars was invoked, soldiers felt their fear turn to fury, their hesitation replaced by a relentless desire to fight. His influence on the battlefield was palpable, and to win Mars's favor was to gain the strength to crush all opposition. As the patron of warriors, Mars was also closely associated with the wolf, a creature known for its strength and ferocity. The wolf represented Mars's untamed power, his connection to the wild and dangerous aspects of war. The god's other sacred animal, the woodpecker, symbolized the constant presence of conflict, the noise of battle ever resounding. Together, these animals painted a picture of Mars as a force of nature, raw, untamable, and relentless. Mars festivals, celebrated in March and October, marked the beginnings and ends of critical times for Rome, both its military campaigns and its agricultural endeavors. The March festival, known as the Martius, was particularly important, as it was held at the start of the military campaign season. October, on the other hand, marked the end of the campaign season, and also served as a time to honor Mars for ensuring the harvest had been fruitful. To the Romans, Mars was not merely a god of destruction and bloodshed, but a necessary force in their world, both a harbinger of war and a symbol of victory. His dual role as a god of war and guardian of agriculture emphasized the symbiotic relationship between battle and growth. He was a god who, like fire, was both a danger and a necessity. Mars stood as a reminder that victory could only be achieved through sacrifice, that peace was often built on the foundations of war. In understanding Mars, we understand the Roman spirit itself, fierce, determined, and at times reckless. The legacy of Mars lives on in the very name of the planet he inspired, a constant reminder of the god whose fiery temper and indomitable strength shaped the course of history.
If you seek wisdom, why not get it from a god? Subscribe to learn our lessons, and thank you for watching. Lessons from the Gods.